So this is exactly what I pitched. So I thought to myself, I wouldn't make a counter, a full size ultra, but I would. I do think that there would be enough interest in a counter arcade. Because to me, like I'm just looking at my desk here, and I think it would be dope to have like a little Q Bert counter arcade sitting on my desk, especially if they put the wood block in it, right? Like that would just be dope. So here was the argument. I'm not going to tell you whose side was whose. I want to see.
You're like pulling the curtain way back.
I'm pulling the curtain back. So
yeah, okay.
So Cyrus and I got into a very deep engagement on this topic. I'm being dramatic. It was a very friendly conversation, but it was a very deep conversation. And this was the conversation. On one side, the opinion was that if you made Q Bert, since that's a Sony license and nothing else comes with it, that you just make the counter arcade with Q Bert. On the other side was the position that Q Bert by itself as a single title is not enough value on a counter series arcade, and it would have to be in some way, shape, or form a mashup between Q Bert and some other title, or some other license to add 2 or 3 games. Both
Cyrus,
sides
learned nothing.
Both sides were adamant in their position, but I'm not going to tell you which side was which. I would love to hear in the chat, which way do you go? Do you just do a Q Bert and say, screw it, Q Bert is Q Bert, it just needs Q Bert? Or do you say, no, give the people bang for their buck, let them have another 2 or 3 games to play alongside Q Bert?
I am officially rescinding my invitation to have Cyrus on the show.
I'm not telling you what. You don't know which one was his, though. There's no way that was not a leading question.
I'm making a fully uninformed assumption that is totally correct.
What's your assumption?
I mean, well, you guys can't see it on the camera now because I'm cropped, but I'm looking at one of the mashup cabinets in the corner of my space here, and I mean, he was at the company that made it at the time. I mean, I don't know. He could have been a lone voice saying, no, don't do it. But, I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
Anyway. Yeah, no, okay. So kind of curious, just kind of, I don't want to taint the chat with who said what.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we don't want the conspiracy theories for now. We might do a reveal later. But yeah, I'm just curious on the
cubes. I forgot about that. Okay, good call, Mike.
That could be interesting. Could be interesting.
That's more deep cut. Now, see, but that's not a mashup cab. That's fully within, that's Q Bert.
Yeah, it's still Q Bert.
That's like Pac-Man on a Pac-Man. That makes sense. That's not combining Midway with a golf game or whatever. That makes sense. Yes, yeah. Mike. No more mashups.
No more mashups. I'm a big fan of no more mashups. But let's see. I'm not telling you whose opinion was which.
Well, no, and I was just joking about that. But Fat Hog does make a good point here. There's a difference between having a mashup cab that's literally taking art and cabinet and whatever, controls and everything, and trying to ram them into the same product versus a product that has a marquee title with the controls, the art, the shape, and everything else aligned to that title that happens to also have other games on that same cabinet that fit with those controls and this, the monitor orientation and things like that. That's entirely different. Like a mashup is a bad thing to me because you're taking 2 different things and you're trying to make them work. It's like taking a hot dog and putting a hamburger bun. It's just kind of like, well, it's sort of, no, it doesn't work. Like, don't combine the things, but you can make a hamburger with as many layers as you want.
I was always just thrown off with the aesthetics of it. So I wouldn't mind if like a Q Bert counter arcade had like a couple games built into it, but it was just a Q Bert counter arcade. Like you look at it, everything about it was Q Bert, but you could check out a couple like games that were inside it. Like I wouldn't mind that. What I wouldn't want is like Q Bert Miss Pac-Man or something like where you have like that split art or like looks like stickers around the edges or something like that.
Yeah. Now there's some arcade precedent for that. You had your class of '81 kind of thing. But that didn't come out until much later, in terms of arcade gaming. That was on the back end of when arcades were really even popular. I mean, they were kind of dying at that point, and that was sort of a way to say, okay, operator, you don't need to have a separate, Ms. Pac-Man cabinet and a separate cabinet for this and this and this. We'll put them all in the same cabinet.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the compromise. But even other multi-game cabinets before that didn't try to mash things up. You had the Neo Geo, which is probably one of the most well-known multi-game cabinets that didn't attempt to have artwork for every single game on the same
Right.
cabinet. It was just like, no, we've got our own style, and we'll change the marquee or whatever to highlight the game that you're playing, and that was it. So yeah, no to mashups, but that's not saying don't have more than one game on a cabinet. Just don't muck with the art and the cabinet design and all that.
Yeah, I think I see you got someone else, but I know End of Line here, he had called out like, Counter Arcade isn't authentic to the cab control, so mashup doesn't really matter, just skin it Q Bert. And I don't think it's the authenticity. So like I saw all the Counter Arcades that they had there, and they look sharp, they look fantastic. But I'm not looking for that for authenticity. So I think that's okay. That's a good call out. Like you're not sitting there taking out your tape measure and analyzing like, okay, are all the ratios right? Like, is it cut to the right angle?
Right. It's a counter. Yeah.
It's
right.
a counter. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, they look sweet to sit on the desk. When I was looking at the images, I thought they would be like a lot bulkier than what they actually ended up being.
Like
But they were actually they I mean, like when I was looking at it, it was like actually like something that you could sit on your desk. Still has the 8-inch screen and everything. I thought the controls they felt better than I thought they were going to feel. So I mean, I was pretty impressed. I'm definitely going to have one or two of them. I don't think I'm going to necessarily buy every single Atari counter series that they've come up with, but it's definitely going to be one that gets brought over here. I just think they're sharp. At the end of the day, they're a really cool decoration, and then you can play with it, right? So who doesn't love that?
And it's an interesting, so you mentioned the 8-inch screen. That's an inch bigger than the arcade one-up version. So you're an interesting sort of size where you're just big enough to be realistically playable.
Yeah.
Like the quarter arcades, I think nailed the aesthetic. Like the look and feel of those is like, that's really cool for what it is. But if you're actually looking to play something, it's kind of like, well, you're not really going to play it on that, maybe just for the novelty, but you're not actually going to play, you're not really going to play it on that. The counter series type products to me are that sort of sweet spot where it's like if you've only got an apartment or a very limited budget or whatever it might be, you're a collector, whatever, you can actually justify having that because you can also play it.
Yeah.
It's not just for the art or design, although that's certainly part of it. And I'd love to see things like lit marquees. There's little touches that make it feel like, oh, that's a cool thing to have kind of lit up on the on the side or the corner or whatever of my room. I think that kind of thing is stuff for them to consider having as part of that product line.